and welcome to our transfer discussion live, where we're going to be talking about the latest gossip and news from West Ham United in the summer transfer market, where we're still waiting for our striker. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and I was hoping we'd have had a striker to chat about tonight, but we'll discuss it, but we don't have a permanent one yet. I've got the two Toms with me, so the slightly younger Tom will be known as Athers tonight. It's his nickname, and then the older Tom will just be called Tom as normal. But older Tom, Carlos Bacca, he's kept us waiting for ages. He's coming out, he's wanting a Champions League football. What's your thoughts on him mulling over his options?
Personally, I don't like it, Gio, to be honest. You know, I know Payet last season apparently wanted to come to us. It wasn't first choice for us. I don't like it when a player doesn't really want to come to us. That's my own personal opinion. Hey, he might end up joining us in the end, and I'll get fully behind him. But I don't like it when we're second or third choice, personally.
But Tom, do you not think it's good that we're going for a striker that wants Champions League football? He's not saying I want more money. He's saying I want Champions League football. So surely that's a good thing that that's the type of striker we're going for.
It is a good thing, yeah, but it also rubs my nose in a bit. Like last season, towards how disappointing it was to fall off Gio and actually get that fourth spot, you know. And the fact that he's saying that, it's sort of rubbing salt in the wound a little bit, if you like to say.
Do you think, Tom, if we finished fourth, the likes of Carlos Bacca and that would be a West Ham United player today? Do you think it would be a hell of a lot plain sailing for David Sullivan in the transfer market?
Yep, I think we'd have possibly signed Batshuayi as well, because obviously he said the same for us, Chelsea though. But yeah, I think definitely Bacca, yeah, 100%. He's come out and said Champions League football, and we obviously would have it. We would have had it, so he would have signed for us.
Athers, you've been sitting there quietly. What's your take on Carlos Bacca waiting and hoping for a Champions League club to come along?
Well, I understand the argument, and I know what Tom's trying to say as well. I think one player very similar to that was Sofiane Feghouli. Don't forget, he was linked with a lot of big clubs, probably bigger than us, that had Champions League football, but he liked the ambition and where the club was going. And I think it's bad to not know that, knowing that Bacca really doesn't have the ambition to want to join us. And like Tom said, I'll be fully behind him if he joins, but he could have shown that same ambition of a club that's willing to push for that, a new stadium. So it is a bit disappointing to see that, but it's good that we are trying to push for a player that wants Champions League football. Yes,
but surely, though, Athers, he's 29. This is his last career move, probably. It's certainly his last big one. He can't afford to beat a club who might be in the Champions League in 3 years' time. The boy will be 32. He probably won't be our first team striker. So do you not think this is his last chance to get Champions League football?
I don't think so necessarily. No. I mean, he could quite easily join a club in the next few years after whoever he joins next that potentially has Champions League football, or again he could join us and we would end up getting Champions League football. Really, I don't know what is going through the guy's head, and for me, I really don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Tom, there's reports coming out in Italy tonight. There's reports coming out in Italy that Arsenal are going to be going in for him. Now, normally we would say, nah, Arsenal will pay that for a 29-year-old, but they did go in for Vardy, who's the same age, so it's possible. Do you think if Arsenal comes in, do you think that's a final nail in the coffin for West Ham trying to get Bacca?
Yep, definitely, 100%. He's, as you said, he's come out and said he wants Champions League football. Arsenal got Champions League football, so that is the final nail in the coffin. Bye-bye, Bacca.
What do we do, Tom? What do we do if we don't get Bacca? Because, in my opinion, he's the last striker he's not world class, but he's the level below. And I just think that everyone else we've been linked with that's left is one level below Carlos Bacca, if that makes sense. So what do you think we should be doing, Tom, if we can't get Bacca?
I mean, there's a lot of rumours around at the moment, Gio, with Caleri. I mean, getting him on loan. I mean, I don't know nothing about him yet again, you see, so I don't know. I'm not on my South American football as much as European. I don't know too much about him, but I've heard that he's a good player. Yeah, but is that a step down? I don't know. I mean, I'm leaning myself personally towards the actual option of actually maybe having a punt on a couple of youth players, Fletcher, Martinez. That's my own personal thing. I mean, what more worse can happen, really? I mean, you're spending £34 million a player, and it could be a flop. That's West Ham. We've never spent that money before. But hey, Rashford last season done it. So, and Fletcher, I know it's only a friendly, but he scored a great goal tonight. Who knows? I mean, Bilic is the one who knows.
You spoke about a flop there, Tom. Do you worry that David Sullivan's maybe going to panic by a little bit with a striker, maybe just open the checkbook up And we've said that he needs to pay the money and he's not paying money. Do you worry that he's maybe going to pay too much for a certain striker just so he gets one in?
Yeah, yeah, I do, Gio. Yeah, you're right, I do. Obviously, just to give into what the fans want. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know if he actually said we should get a 25, 30 million pound player. But I know he said something on the lines of we've got to get a 20 plus goals scorer a season. A striker scores 20 goals. So and everyone's set into context that obviously looked at the leagues and who scores 20 more goals, and they've come up with obviously Lacazette, all the players that we've been linked with, you know, and obviously they've obviously fade away from our ambitions and what we need.
In the Daily Mirror today, Darren Lewis spoke to David Sullivan Athers, and David Sullivan said, if we don't get a striker, it's not the end of the world. We were the fourth highest scorers in the league. Is your alarm bells ringing when you listen to that, Athers?
Yeah, because I know there has been talk of the owners. I think, like Tom said, a lot of it taken out of context, but yes, we have got those same players this year, really, that we're going back with that scored a lot of the goals last year, but there's also going to be a European competition in that. Players are going to be tired, you know, playing the extra games, especially if we do get to the group stages and it's Thursday, Sunday. So it's going to have to be spread about a bit more. And after all this talk and hype of potentially getting in a striker, it would be disappointing, I think, not to see one. I would completely trust in Bilic and the board would be doing the right thing by it. But I think it would be a letdown to the fans, I think, if a top striker didn't come in. But I fully expect one, potentially. I mean, with a few weeks to go in the transfer market, month even, that there's deals around still possible that we might not have thirst for or talked about before.
On the last transfer show, you said you wanted a wee punt. You wanted David Sullivan to take a punt on Kaleri. It looks like he's going to come in, Arthur. So are you happy? You've done a little bit of jiggery pokery into him to try and find out a little bit more about him, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I did the other day for a show that potentially we may not, coming out in the next couple of days if he signs. And he looks fantastic. At 21 years of age, he's very quick, he's very strong, and his finishing, especially with his right foot, is unbelievable. A lot like Bacca, you could say, just all the years younger. But he looks like a real good finisher and a real good player, and I think a lot of the Argentinian people have been saying that he's the next sort of phenomenon, the next whatever to come out of Argentina striker. And like Tom said, why not as well? Taking a punt on one of these younger guys, especially someone that might not have cost so much, with a point to prove, and what's the worst thing they can do?
Well, it's time to talk about two West Ham United players, and before we move on to the guy that's not in Austria and sulking and throwing his toys everywhere out his pram, news came out this evening that Man City are wanting Reece Oxford for 15 million. Now, we went through this when Man U were apparently after him. Tom, what's your thoughts on this? It's kind of like the rumour that's just never going to go away, is it? Reece Oxford's always going to be linked with big teams left, right and centre just because of his talent, his age, the fact he's English. Are you worried, Tom, that he's going to be sold, or are you quite confident that we're going to say no, go away?
I mean, I'm pretty sure, Gio, that the owners and the club now are not a selling club, And the one thing that haunts me as a fan is the players that we've let go in the past. But that's previous ownership, and we've always been known as a selling club. I mean, the one that sticks out to me is Rio Ferdinand. I mean, yeah, again, I wouldn't like to see that someone of that sort of capability, Oxford has got the capability to go to Man City, really, and even if they pay 10, 15, or whatever price it is, it's going to be cheap, isn't it, really, for a player of his calibre? And if he comes on in the future to become this phenomenal player, we'll always look back again and just say, why did we do it? Why did we get rid of him? And that's the thing. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it, But for me personally, I don't want him to go. But if he goes, he goes. That's just the way. That's the way the nature of football at the moment, isn't it? The way the game is.
What's your thinking on this, Arthur? Tom said that he's confident in the owners, and we've got different ones now. Is he right in that? Do you think we can no longer be bullied because of the TV money? Whereas Rio Ferdinand, I remember I was only a wee kid. You would have been as well. You two would have been as well. But almost the reason was, when's the next time we're going to have someone worth so much money? So we kind of had to sell him. Is that day gone now, Arthur? Where we can say we don't need 15 million. We've got 15 million. We don't need your money. Go away.
Course. Yeah, no, of course. We didn't have the money before that we do now, and the stature of the club has changed. Worth being over 800 million or whatever the figure reported was. Tom's absolutely right. We've got no need to sell him. He could be worth 5 times of the price he's worth now, especially for a ball-playing centre half if that's where he ends up playing, or just in front of the back four. He's got all the attributes to be a top player, and to get rid of him so soon without really seeing him develop into the potential player he can be would be absolutely it'd be, of all the signings we've made this summer, I think this one would hurt the most if he managed to leave, because I know he's over with England at the minute performing in their under-19 championships or whatever, and by all reports he's been fantastic over there as well. I know he started the last couple of games, and they just won their group, so I think he's now in the forefront of all these players, especially doing it on the international stage as well for the under-19s, and he's going to be right for the picking, but I wish that we would keep hold of this. There's been too many names over the past 10-15 years we've got rid of too early.
Right, time to put you both between a rock and a hard place with a very difficult question. It's never a scenario that's going to arise, but I just want to test you. Arthurs, if you had to keep hold of Reece Oxford and not get a top striker, or get a top striker but you sell Reece Oxford, what do you do in this window?
Keep Reece Oxford.
So you'd happily keep Reece Oxford but see no top striker come in?
I think you'd have to, yeah, because I think that kid's got such potential. I just don't think you could let him go for such a short price. And especially going to the future, you think some of the players, not only him but Reece Burke, that team in a few years could be something special. And I think to have one of the top players, not only really in England but in the world for his age, it would just be naive and stupid of us to get rid of him. And I think if we could bring in a couple of loan deals, we'd have more than enough to survive. But you know where you get rid of him.
Tom?
100% agree. I wouldn't have a striker. I'd keep hold of Oxford all day long, Gio, for the reasons as Evans has said. I mean, yeah, I can't go through that again. Get rid of our best players, and then watching them turn into these fantastic players of other team winning things. I just can't do it. No, so I'd keep hold of Oxford all day long.
Right, let's talk about our striker. Our team's currently in Austria, but he's currently somewhere in England, and we don't know where he is. Is he even at training these days? We don't know. But it's okay because he's told David Sullivan he will play if he's needed. That's kind of him to actually turn up for a game of football, considering we're paying him 35 grand a week. It's nice of him to say he's available for the start of the season. Tom, what's your opinion on Diafra Sakho?
To be honest with you, I mean, if the rumours are true, as you say, he's just a complete and utter idiot, really. I'm not going to hold back on it, We've all got personal issues in our lives, but hey, we've all got to go to work and earn a keep, but hey, you don't throw your toys out the pram, and you don't bite the hand that feeds you, really. And David Sullivan has been really the person that's given the light of his career. He was playing in French Division 2, I believe, for Lens, and now he come over here and he's been fantastic for us, But and it just goes to show the profession of the guy. Because obviously, Valencia, my personal opinion of Valencia is not very good, But he's gone out to Austria, He's gone out to Austria with the team, and he might get, more than likely he's going to get sold. But he's out there, he's playing, And hey, tonight could have been his last game for us. Who knows? And also with Obiang, Obiang under the same sort of light. The big rumours about Obiang going, but Obiang decided to fight and stay and fight for his place. But the way Sakho's handled his affairs, it's just absolutely disgusting, really. Absolutely disgusting. I'm disgusted with him, to be honest.
Are you done with him? Are you basically done with Sakho, or is there a way back for him?
Well, as I said, Joe, it's all rumours. We don't know the ins. I mean, we're only guessing, obviously, but Twitter's rife with it, and the guy has actually come out apparently and said he's not going to Austria. So yeah, and on that basis, he's done himself no favours. The fans are turning him now. Bit of a cult hero, isn't he? Really, does he when he scored and all that was for nothing. Like I remember things on Twitter last year and everything like him, like tweeting pictures of little kids doing it and all that sort of thing. Everyone loved it, loved him. He got behind him, Didn't matter if he went on a run for 7-8 games without scoring, but he put in 100%. He run the rings, he run the channel. But to do this, and to come out and throw your toys out of pram, you've got a contract. As I said, we've all had personal issues in life, but you still go to work, you still earn your money, you put your head down, and you just say, you know what, hey, I'm not happy, but I've got to get on with my life. I know he's got personal issues, but that's not the way you do it.
Arthur, do you agree with that? Is he insulting the club a little bit and the fans?
100%. David Sullivan gave him the platform to perform. Wasn't bought as a first-choice striker. I said this the other week in the transfer video. Wasn't bought as a first-choice striker, and he came out and he performed, and he became a fan favourite so quickly, And I remember multiple away games last year, seeing him score and, like Tom said, chucking up the iron sign. Really sort of falling in love with the fans, almost like Payet's love story. And I feel like he's just completely spat it back in our face, and that's really, when you've been given such an opportunity to play, especially in the best league in the world, you don't. I think the fans, first and foremost, don't deserve that. And like Tom said, Valencia could quite easily be sold next week, but he hasn't thrown his toys out the pram, and he's gone away and he's just bitten his tongue and he's just going about his job, which is a footballer's job and it's what he should do. He wasn't playing well at the end of the season. That's why Carroll came in for him, and to have a bust up in training with Bilic, it just shows how immature he is, really. And I'm disappointed because, like Tom said, again, he was a cult hero. But once you turn on the fans and once you really start winding them up, you're going to know about it. And it's his own fault. He's dug his own grave, really. And for the betterness of the team, the sooner he goes, the better. And I think it's good in a way that he isn't on that Austria tour and he can't be throwing his dummies out the pram, and that can't affect the morale of the team. Just if he wants to sulk, just keep him in London and stay there.
He's basically, Tom Athers, do you think he's basically just mugged off his teammates as well a little bit? Now, I know we're pre-season, but could you imagine we're in a relegation battle and he decides, I can't be bothered playing anymore, lads, I'm just going to sit here. Athers, do you think he's mugging off his teammates?
Of course. If I was, for instance, like Mark Noble, who I'm pretty sure would take that personally, the fact that he's not gone, or some of the other lads, it's so disrespectful what he's done. Whichever club he goes to, could you trust him that he wasn't going to do something like that? If you're looking for a transfer away from the club, the worst thing you can do is do what you're doing now, because what does that say to the club that you're going to go to next? Oh, well, because you're not going to get played for a few games, you're going to go home and have a spat with the manager. I think if that was my teammate, I'd let him know about it, and that's the good thing. He hasn't gone away to Austria, therefore the players don't have to think about him. And I hope by the time that they've come back, he's long gone. And that pains me to say that, because he was, like most of us, one of our favourite players.
Do you think, Arthur, there's a potential that maybe the club told him not to go to Austria? Do you think that could be something that may have happened because of his attitude and the fact he wanted to leave? Do you think maybe his teammates or the management said, you know what, you stay behind because we're taking the lads that want to be here, so you stay? So do you think maybe the fans have got the wrong end of the stick, or...?
You see, this is the sort of double-edged sword here. I mean, we could be wrong. We could be completely wrong, and the reports of the media have taken it out of context, and he's been told to stay at home, by which point I would issue an apology or say something like that. But all at the minute we've got to base it off is reports, and whether he, like Tom said, has issues going on in his personal life or whatever, the two shouldn't come between football. It should be a chance for him to get out, get away from all of that and play and perform. But I wouldn't be surprised if what has been said in the papers is true.
Well, before we move on, last word on this, Tom. Is this the worst case scenario ever for a transfer when your striker acts like this? Because one, he drives his price down. Two, as Arthur said, he makes himself damaged goods, so no one really wants him. And three, you've got, for Sakho, who wants out, who's going to take him? So does anyone actually win in this scenario? Who wins here? Does anyone win, Tom?
No, no one wins, Gio. No one wins. I mean, the example last season with it was Berahino. He hasn't played a lot for West Brom. He's sat on the bench, obviously, because he made his same sort of scenario, really. He wanted to go to another club, and try to force his 5 force a hand. And all what happened is West Brom, Tony Pulis didn't put him in the team. He sat on the bench and a lot of money, rotting, and it's done his credibility no good. And Sakho is exactly the same. It's exactly the same case at the moment.
Totally agree. Right, now we're away to do something different. When we do every transfer show, we say, give us your opinions. Now, you can do this on Facebook at facebook.com/HammersChat. Keep your eyes out for the post. On Twitter, it's at Hammers_chat. Keep your eyes out for the tweet. All you have to do is reply to either, and we'll pick out some. But please don't swear. We can't show swearing because we're trying to keep this family friendly, as a lot of people watch it with their kids. But we're going to try something slightly different tonight. I'm going to disappear, and hopefully on your screen you're going to see a load of comments from you guys. So there we go. Tom, let's start with you. This person says, Bacca, still alternatives like Mandzukic and Gomez, etc. Don't need to overpay. Sakho, the quicker he goes, the better, and Ox don't sell. Do you agree? That's Adam Smith there. Do you agree when he says, Bacca, there's still alternatives and we need to move on? Do you agree with that, Tom?
Yeah. I mean, as you said, Gio, they're sort of like second string, aren't they, Medzugi? I mean, I don't know nothing. Again, I don't know nothing about these guys, so I can't really comment, So yeah, but I agree with everything he said there. Yeah.
Right, let's go on to the next one. Arthur, this one's for you. It's from Aaron. He says, Bacca, of course we can't blame a world-class striker for accessing his options At least he isn't all about the pound note. Now, we've already discussed him Athers in a wee bit, but I agree with Aaron here. I agree we wait because he is top class, and West Ham are not a top class club yet. We're on our way there, we're progressing, but to get a top class player, we're going to have to be patient, and I think we're going to have to accept a lot of rejections until we become that top class club. So I agree with Aaron here, but Athers, can you see our point?
In a nutshell, this is what I was trying to talk about earlier before I went brain dead. I'd seen Aaron's tweet earlier, and he's completely right. We do have to wait for him to assess our options. I think, like we said, a lot of stuff gets twittered in the media, agent making noises or whatever that might have said that we weren't his first option or whatever. But we do have to wait because it might not be an easy decision for him. Obviously, he wants Champions League football, but if all this waiting comes and he joins, like myself and Tom both said, we'll be fully behind him when he joins. And it's right, maybe he isn't all about the money, but yeah, no, I completely agree with what Aaron said.
Right, let's go through the other ones. We've already discussed the other ones, so I probably won't get reaction from you two, but Lewis says we need to get rid of Sakho, not got his heart in it, and we should sign Bacca at all costs. Last chance at a big name forward. Daniel Ripton says we shouldn't sign Bacca if he doesn't want to come, as he'll end up like Sakho and not want to play at all. Now, I think that's an overreaction a little bit, considering he's not set his foot in the door. I think it's harsh to tar him with Sakho's brush, but that is Daniel's opinion. Johnny says Sakho needs to go. I've lost respect for him, and the club has now. Keep Oxford at all costs. Could be worth 10 times more in 5 years. And finally, Kebby says Bacca, I only want him if he is 100% committed to the club. Tom, any last words from you to say on any of the transfers we've discussed?
No, I think you covered it all, Gio, to be honest. Yeah, just a bit shame about crybabies and things, and hopefully as you said, we can get a decent striker in, really. I mean, as you said, our options are weighing thin now, but we've still got a long time to go, and I'm sure the Sullivan and Gold have got to ace up the sleeve, to be honest. They're good businessmen.
Arthur's, very quickly, final word from you.
Yeah, like Tom said, the Sullivans, they got a party trick up their sleeve if they've ever had one. They've always been great owners wherever they've been, and I fully expect them to pull something out of the hat, something we might not expected. Hopefully finish off a good pre-season tour, and next week when we do another show that we're discussing a potential new striker signing.
Well, thank you very much for joining us and watching. Hopefully you do agree or disagree with our opinions, but let us know on our forum at hammerschat.com. It's totally free to join up, and we'd love to hear your opinions. You can't all think the same as us three. Well, us three don't even agree about Bacca, so who do you side with? Come let us know. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. We've got loads of videos coming. We've got a review on every single friendly that's happening in Austria as well. But I've been Gio, that's been Tom, and that's been Tom/Athers. Thanks for joining us.